Hello, and congratulations for being a plant parent. This is a quick video about how I take care of my orchids. So I don't like to have to do a ton of work with pretty much anything. So I have my plant watering down to twice a week. And the trick that I found to be really helpful is the recommendation to fertilize your plants weekly. So give them just a little bit of fertilizer once a week instead of a lot on a more irregular basis. The way that I typically handle that is I will set aside one day a week, for me it's Fridays, where I give the orchids a bath. I actually will fill up their whole container with water and let it sit for at least an hour. Probably shouldn't let it go much beyond 3 hours or you might actually have problems with your root structure, but I don't know. I think probably the longest I've ever let it go is about 4 hours, but 1 hour is probably ideal. Then you drain the water off. And then once a week, midweek, usually for me it's on Tuesdays, I just spray them with a water spritzer to get the roots and a little bit of the leaves wet. And that's it. And they're really happy. So for orchid plant food, I just feed them this, come on, focus. It's not focusing. Okay, there, that's better. It's focusing on me. I just feed them this Miracle Grow orchid plant food. And the reason I use this is because somebody gave it to me. I have no idea. It is a little bit different than the usual all-purpose plant food. The composition is a little different, so you can do what you want, but this is what I do. Now, when I say to fertilize weekly, I mean weekly. So this container is probably about a liter. I'll check on that and put it in the notes. Inside of this orchid container box thing, there's a scoop that has this crazy enormous side and this tiny side. And on the tiny side, I, no kidding, put that much. Just a tiny bit. Come on, focus. It's not focusing. Just a tiny bit of fertilizer in with this whole roughly liter of water. So you don't need very much. This is probably more detail than you need, but I'll just walk you through it. So I put this tiny amount of orchid fertilizer in a little glass. I put a little bit of water in the glass. And then I microwave that for 6 to 8 seconds, depending upon how much water got in there. And then I swish that around to make sure that it all gets dissolved. Dump it in the jug. Ooh, excuse me. And then I put in the roughly 1 liter of water. I like to do water that is like sun warmed. The temperature of, if you had water out in the sun, so that it's not really cold for the plants. It may not matter, but I know that's what I would prefer to have. So I just check the temperature. And then, like I said, I no kidding, just soak them. So I just fill up this entire container of water and give them a bath. And that's it. So again, I'll set a timer. let them sit for an hour. I do this for all the plants, and then I let them sit for an hour, and then I drain the water off. Some of the plants, let's see. Some of the plants are in a separate container, so to drain them, I just lift them out and pour the water off. But for plants like this one that are not in a separate container, I no kidding, just hold the plant, turn the thing upside down, and pour the water out. And they're fine, and they're perfectly happy. Orchids are pretty tough. They don't need a lot. So I wish you luck with your orchid growing franchise.